Welcome back. We're reading On the Heavenly Spheres with Helena Avelar and Luis Ribeiro, and we are on chapter 7. Yes? Nope, chapter 8. We just finished chapter 7. We're on chapter 8, and it is aspects, and it is page 105. So here we go. Aspects. The term aspect is of a Latin origin, ad dispectu, and means to observe, see, look at. From an astrological context, two planets are considered to be in aspect when they look at one another, thereby establishing a relationship between them. The aspects between planets indicate the types of dynamic relationships formed between them and describe the actions of the planets in the horoscope. The 5 aspects. Aspects derive from geometry of the actual zodiac, from the nature of the signs. Planets posited in the same sign are subject to the same qualities. For this reason, we conclude that their actions combine. In this case, it is said that the planets are in conjunction. Planets in signs opposite to each other act contrary to one another, provoking conflict and division. They are said to be in opposition. When two planets are situated in signs of the same element, they are under the influence of the same primary qualities, and their actions combine with ease and grace. They are said to be in trine. Similarly, planets in signs with different elements, but of the same gender, share the same temperature. Hot in the case of masculine signs and cold in the case of feminine signs. They are said to be in sextile. Their relationship is not as flowing as with a trine, but the relationship is agreeable. Planets situated in signs whose temperaments are compatible, but who share the same mode, are said to be in square. So planets situated in signs whose temperatures are incompatible, but who share the same mode, are said to be in square. This aspect depicts a difficult relationship, inclining towards friction. In astrological practice, an aspect is more narrowly defined. Instead of considering the signs to determine the aspectual relationship, only the angle, only the angle that the signs form in the zodiac is considered. Since signs in opposition are at an angle of 180 degrees. In trine, they're at an angle of 120 degrees. In square, at an angle of 90 degrees, and in sextile at 60 degrees. Therefore, the relationship between signs is converted into a geometrical relationship. The planets are thus considered to be in opposition when they are in the angle of 180 degrees between them, and in trine when they are 120 degrees, etc. In this manner, the aspect is defined in practice as an angular relationship between two planets rooted in the geometrical structure of the zodiac. Note the angles represented by the aspects are geocentric, meaning they are measured from the center of the Earth. They represent the angular relationship between two planets from the perspective of a terrestrial observer. Inconjuncts. 4 signs are left out of this system. The 2 immediately adjacent to the starting place at a distance of 30 degrees. And 2 that flank the sign opposing at 150 degrees, both of which are not a part of the traditional system of aspects. These signs share nothing with the starting sign, neither temperature nor mode, and thus cannot establish a relationship with it. Traditionally, it is said that these signs cannot see each other, meaning they cannot aspect each other. Some authors state that the angular relationship of 30 degrees are very weak, and that those of 150 do not result from a whole division of a circle and therefore should not be considered. These angular relationships of 30 degrees and 150 degrees are known as an inconjunct. Light as a basis for aspects. At the root of this concept, the planets in aspect can see or observe one another. At the root of the concept, the planets in aspect can see or observe one another, is the light cast by the planets. The astrological tradition holds that the aspect of 180, 120, 90, and 60 are formed between the planets, are formed because the planets touch each other with their light. In the case of conjunction, the planets meet each other physically, mixing their lights together, whereas the remaining aspects form by radiating their light. In the case of the opposition, trine, square, and sextile, the planet radiates its light, which touches another planet, allowing them to see each other and form an aspect. This concept is based on the principles of ancient Greek optics. Ancient scholars believed that the vision was possible because the eyes emitted rays. Laser eyes. When they touched an object, these rays allowed for their visualization. We know today that what actually occurs is the exact opposite. It is the eyes that capture the light from the object and can therefore see them. Nonetheless, the basic principle is the same, underscoring the importance of light in traditional astrology. From this perspective, the conjunction should not be considered an aspect, since it consists of the bodily interaction between planets and not their mutual visualization. In truth, one must distinguish between a bodily conjunction and the aspects so defined. To simplify things in this book, we'll refer to the conjunction as an aspect despite the distinction. Orbs. In horoscopes, we rarely find exact aspects. Each planet has a field of influence from which it can interact, form an aspect with other planets. This field, known as an orb, may be envisioned as an aura radiating from the planet. The center of this sphere or orb is the actual degree where the planet is located, its body. The orbs are expressed as a radius, which means that the influence of the planet's orb will extend in front of and behind the planet a certain number of degrees. The orb of each planet varies according to its astrological weight. The values are shown in figure 6. Hey, that's on another page. So they're just going over that, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. The orbs are generally measured in terms of radii. Some authors give orbs that are slightly different from these. For instance, 17 degrees of radius for the Sun and 8 degrees for Venus, but the majority use the orbs given here. It has a little something. I'm just going to go ahead and read it really quick. These values come from the Sun's relationship with the planets. For instance, 15 degrees is approximately the degree range of the luminosity of the Sun, and 12 is the distance that the Moon needs to have from the Sun before it again becomes visible. The values of the planets probably result from adjustments made in accordance with the planets' relationships with the lights and their individual importance. Thus, the slower superior planets, Saturn and Jupiter, have a slightly larger orb than the faster planets, Venus and Mercury, who have smaller orbs. Okay. Let's see. For example, the orb of the Moon has a diameter of 24 degrees, 12 degrees extending behind and 12 degrees extending in front of the zodiacal position of the planet. If the Moon is located at 7 degrees of Capricorn, its orb extends from 5 degrees to 29 degrees of the sign, and within this range, the moon may form many conjunctions. For the the other aspects. The orb of the moon radiates as if it's projected beams of light into areas of the zodiac where it can form aspects. In this way, the moon aspects by oppositions anything situated between 5 degrees and 29 degrees of Cancer, the sign opposite of Capricorn. It forms a square to any planet located in the same degrees of Aries and Libra, the signs that are located 90 degrees from Capricorn. It forms a trine to any planet in the same degrees of Taurus and Virgo, signs of the same element at 120 degrees from Capricorn. Earthy, earthy signs. And lastly, it forms a sextile with any planet or point situated in the same degree of Pisces and Scorpio, signs at 60 degrees of Capricorn. Feminine. Therefore, an aspect is formed when the orb of the planet with the larger aura touches the body, the zodiacal degree, where the other planet is physically located. In the previous example, the moon was at 17 degrees of Capricorn and Mars at 10 degrees of Virgo. We find here that the orb of the moon, which extends from 5 degrees to 29 degrees of the sign, touches by trine the position of Mars. Similarly, the orb of Mars, which extends from 2 degrees to 18 degrees of Virgo, touches through its rays the degree of the moon. It is said then that the aspect between the planets is mutual. Oh, that's kind of interesting. That, like, because if you have a really small orb and a really big orb, like maybe the moon and Saturn's orb is 9 degrees, you could have one aspecting the other, but the one with the smaller degree not aspecting the moon with the biggest degree, or the sun has the biggest. Ah, that's interesting. Okay, so reading the tiny little box, figure 6. Saturn has a 9 degree. So it's orb radius versus the diameter, right? So 9 in front and 9 behind, 18 full. Jupiter, same, 9 degrees forward and back, 18 full. So Mars is 8 degrees either side, 16 complete. The sun is like the whole damn sign because it's 15 degrees forward and back or 30 degrees. But I guess it's only if it's exactly at 15, but 30 degrees. That's a lot. And does the orb extend past a sign barrier? Hmm. Venus, 7 degrees forward and then back, and 14 degrees whole. Mercury is the same, 7 to 14 whole. And the moon is 12 degrees or 24 degrees in total. Okay. Partile and plactic aspects. I think I'm going to, because we're at 13 minutes, move to the next one. Okay. Cool. Thanks.